Hi guys, it's been a while since I did a video, so I thought now I would show you again a video on calculation. So I am doing Puzzle Rush Survival. So you basically, if you don't know, you get 3 lives, so to speak. So the third, you can make 3 mistakes, and then your puzzle session is over. And here on the right side of the screen, here I listed some rules, or some rules, or some steps to go through. So first of all, and this will be especially useful at the beginning of the puzzles, immediately obvious tactics. But keep in mind, always look for the opponent's best defense. So why do you start with immediately obvious tactics first? That's just to conserve to save your mental energy, right? So you don't calculate too many lines when the solution is maybe a simple mate in 3. Then always take a look at checks, captures, and threats, and use the strongest pieces first. So first the king, right? So first you would, for example, look for mating attacks. So mate in 1, 2, 3. Then attacks to your queen, or to the and then to the other side's queen. The rook, the bishop, the knight, and the pawn. You should start with your opponent's threats. Well, maybe you think you found a tactic, but after you've played the first move, you see that your opponent can defend it or threaten something even more dangerous. Then look for hidden tactics. That's basically if you have trouble finding the solution, you are going to see what tactics could be hidden in the position. So you're going to look for double attacks, spins, skewers, open diagonals, open files, and unprotected pieces. Also, then at the end you calculate a number of lines and choose the line you're going to play. And here also keep in mind to look for the opponent's best defense. So here, let's see, immediately obvious tactics, yes. Queen takes d4, the knight is protected. And then I just have to take a look at the opponent's best defense, which would probably be to attack the queen somehow. Let's say e3 or c3, and then let's say we can drop the queen back, for example, to b6. And after that, there is no follow-up for white. Well, I guess this is on the card. So what would that say? Queen takes. Let's say queen takes. Let's say e3. Let's say queen c5 then. Queen c5, d4, queen d6, something like that. But well, the solution will be just simply be queen takes knight, and then the puzzle is over. So here I immediately notice this rook cutting off the king from the right side of the board, and I notice some back rank mates. So this is very easy. The solution is rook d1 check. Black can't put anything in between, so that is just a mate in 1 puzzle. Then what do I notice? I notice here this king is a bit weak. I also notice here this queen. So an immediately obvious tactic is try to mate white. And is it possible? Well, first of all, this queen can come here, but then we can just take it. Then the rook rook can come here, but again we can just take it and eat everything. And finally this queen can come here and we can take it. So our complete calculation will be queen a1 check, queen b1, queen takes b1, rook d1, queen takes b1, queen to e1, and queen takes e1 checkmate. So even though it's a simple puzzle, your solution can't be queen a1 check and you end the calculation there. No, you have to check the things that white can do. For example, maybe one of these queens would be on another square. Let's say, let's see. Yeah, let's say this queen is on the. Let's say this queen would be on this square, right? Then after queen a1, rook d1, and that would be over. But here the solution is queen takes rook, queen takes queen, and that is the puzzle. Here again looks like a simple tactic. This king is weak, right? So we've always look for threats to the king first, and then we don't have to waste time on moves like, I don't know, bishop h3 or something. So here we start with the strongest piece first, and we see that after queen to g8, that will be checkmate. Now let's see. So I can give a check here, and it looks like black can't put anything in between. So right, so we started with the threats to the king first, and with the simple tactics, and that is just checkmate since black can't put anything on g7. Now what do you notice here? I immediately notice this battery. Queen takes h7, that's just checkmate. There is nothing covering h7. The king also can't escape to f8, so that's easy. Let's see here. Threats to the king. Queen takes and king takes h2, so that doesn't work. Threats to the queen. First of all, we should also look what threats white has, and obviously white threatens to capture our queen with a pawn. So we have to do something about that. And let's see, so this doesn't work, since after takes, rook takes, and rook takes, we're just a rook down. Then let's see if queen takes. Looks like this queen is only defended once, so after queen takes, rook takes, and rook takes. One thing we should check is after the rook is on d2, if white can't maybe try to attack it or trap it. So knight b1, for example, then the rook just drops back, for example, to d8. And if something like bishop d3 try to lock up the rook, we can just take on d3. So here again I see the pattern of the weak king. This is a simple tactic. There is nothing covering h2. The king can't leave, so that's easy. Now let's see, white's the move here. Right. So I immediately see the king at the edge of the board, and I can see these three squares here. So if I give a check, then the bishop has to block it, and after we take, this will be checkmate, since the king here takes these three squares and the rook takes all of the squares on the a file. Let's see now. Right. What do I notice? Possibly a back rank. So, do I have any immediately obvious tactics? Well, I guess I have queen to e8 check. There's only one defense, bishop to f8. Then I can continue with the same type of calculation. Queen takes f7. And obviously I need to be careful that there's nothing here on this file, right? So let's say this queen would be here, then this wouldn't be possible. But now I can do queen e8, bishop f8, queen takes f7, king has to go to h8, and then queen takes h7 is checkmate. So my full calculation will be queen e8 check, bishop f8, queen takes f7, king to h8, and queen takes h7. Let's see, do I have an immediately obvious tactic? Well, I suppose this is something. Rook takes here. If rook takes and if the king takes a knight, then I suppose I can pick up this rook. Yeah. So let's see. What does white have a threat? Perhaps white. Well, first of all, he can take the knight if I leave the knight hanging. Secondly, maybe there's a check on a7. So let's see here. So checks, captures and threats, and start with the strongest piece. First of all, rook takes h7. Yeah, I guess that's not too terrible or dangerous. This obviously is a big problem, the knight hanging here. So first of all, we're going to check the strongest piece, right? That is the rook. So the rook captures with check. And if the king goes to here or here to cover it, if he goes to g2, then there is a fork here. If the king goes to g2 and if the king, so if rook takes king to g4, then let's see, rook takes, king takes, knight f4. So rook takes. Looks like the best defense for white is, I'm not sure, so this loses a full rook and this loses a piece, so I guess the best defense would be here. Although now white loses two pieces, right? So we can take here this knight on d2, and white can't take since our rook protects the knight on d2. So our full calculation is, I think, well, there is perhaps knight d4, but I think now we don't even need to calculate any further. If rook takes this here, so our full calculation is king takes knight, and king takes knight, and rook takes rook. Then black wins a full rook. The second is if the white king goes here, then I can take here, and I have two pieces. And if the king finally goes to g2, sorry, not here, if the king goes to g2, then I have knight to f4, forking the king and the, forking the king and the rook. So solution is rook takes and rook takes. Let's see now. Any obvious tactics? Well, I would say yes. Check here. King moves here, and now the queen can sneak into h8, and black doesn't have an escape square here on the second rank. Okay, so let's see. At first it looks maybe slightly dangerous with these pieces here, and maybe ideas of sacrificing something, not sure, maybe bringing the rook in. But that will take several moves, so it doesn't look like white has a threat that, well, he doesn't have an immediate threat. That means that we can, that black can, for example, bring the king here, and after the king goes here, I guess at the very least we win this knight. Now I also want to look if maybe there's nothing better even. So right. I guess if rook here, then the queen can just escape somewhere. So let's eliminate that line. Okay, so we have two checks. We have a check on g1 and h1. Then king to g3. And if my queen is on g1, then I can't take anything or give a subsequent check. But if my king is on h1, then I can take the knight next turn. So that's probably the solution. And yeah. And now I guess we can just take the rook. So let's see, what do I notice? The king is a bit weak. So also our king is also a bit weak, so we need to be a bit careful as well. For example, black might have some ideas like this. So I guess it makes sense to start, well, we should always take a look at that checks and captures first, but here it makes even more sense since we want to be the first to attack. So maybe, oh, sorry, no, not here. Let's see. If I go here and black goes here, looks like, okay, so let's see. Yeah, so that doesn't bring us anything, but maybe we can go rook takes b7 and then use the weak square on b7 to checkmate the king. So rook takes, king c8 and queen b7. So yeah, immediately obvious tactic, g2 is weak, we can put our queen on g2 and that is checkmate. Yeah, And if you know the pattern of smothered mate, then this one will probably be pretty easy to find. The key is with smothered mate is that there is, after the rook takes here on, so you sacrifice the queen on g8, and the key is that there is no extra black piece that defends f7. So this is a double check, right? So black doesn't, so it should check by both the queen and the knight. So black doesn't have time to take any of the pieces, has to go king h8. Now we can sacrifice the queen on g8 and black has to take. And now the rook, which used to defend this f7 square, is gone. So we can play knight f7 and the king doesn't have any room. That's the famous smothered mate. So let's see now. Do we have any immediately obvious tactics? Well, I suppose this is a good candidate. And after king to e1, then we can give a checkmate on e2. And since this queen cuts off the king cannot go to any of these squares. So the solution looks pretty simple. Bishop d3, king e1, and queen e2. Right. Okay, white to move. We've got ourselves a pawn race. And I'm not sure if you're all familiar with the rule of the square, but if you draw a box, right, like this, so you draw a diagonal from the pawn to the edge of the board, and then you make a square. So let's then you make a square like this. This is called the rule of the square, and if it's black's turn and black can step into the square, then he can catch the pawn, right? Let's imagine here, and oh sorry, let's imagine f6, king d7, f7, king e7, right? Now the black king catches the pawn. However, if it's white's turn, then the king is too far away to capture it. And for example, let's say it's white's turn, then it's just here, here, here. Sorry. Right, so f6, king c7, f7, king d7. So you see that black is now one move too slow to prevent the promotion, and the same with this pawn. Also, this pawn is ready to promote. This one is a little bit less interesting since, well, black can take it with the bishop. What's interesting here is that normally to stop it here, the black bishop could come to h7, but now this pawn is in the way, so black needs to waste one more tempo capturing it, and he's not really in time, right? So, or in any case, if he goes like here, then this pawn runs. What's the best defense? I guess after h5. I don't think this makes a lot of sense since we can just run this pawn and then black would have to go back anyway to protect this square, and then I just march this one. So the bishop can't stop both of the pawns. So I suppose after h5 the best defense would probably be bishop g8, as ugly as that may look. And now we have to calculate carefully. f6, king c7, h6, king d7. And now this pawn here can sacrifice itself to dislodge the bishop. If the bishop goes here, then this pawn promotes, and if the bishop takes, then this pawn promotes on h8. So our calculation is h5, bishop e4, f6, bishop d5, h6, bishop g8, f7, bishop takes f7, h7, or h4, bishop g8, f6, king c7, h6, king d7, and f7, bishop takes f7 and h7. Right, not sure if that's really the best defense for black. Should be similar, although here I guess we should start with the h-pawn. So here it's similar, right? Black brought the king to c6 instead of c7, but it doesn't make any difference. We can still sacrifice the pawn to promote this other one here. Okay, after that pawn endgame, which we had to calculate very carefully, you always need to. Now it looks like we have an easier task here. It's just rook takes g6 check. First of all, probably black will take, but I want you also to notice that black doesn't have to take, right? He can also play, sorry, not g7, but h8 or h7. h8, however, doesn't make any sense, and then we can just take this pawn. And after king takes h7, we can, I guess, take here, but we can also play rook takes g7, and if the king takes, mate him on h7. But probably black will take. Then we have queen takes g6, king h8, and mate on h7. Let's see this. Let's see puzzle 19. Are there any immediately obvious tactics? I would say yes, right? At least to me, there is a fork here. The knight is covering it, but we can eliminate the defender of the knight. Obviously, we need to be very careful here, since if white can give a check, then perhaps we will lose the queen. So, but white cannot, since taking the knight is a check by itself, right? So if we take, we give check. So the position of the king here is very important. So the tactic, I think, would not work with the king on e2. And why not? Because if queen takes g4, then white has maybe something like queen h6 check, king moves, and on the next move our queen is lost. But here white doesn't really have any other choice but to take, and after knight f3, king somewhere, we can pick up this pawn, this queen, and we will be a piece up. Then finally puzzle number 20. Are there any obvious tactics? I would say yes. I would say this king here is very weak on the back rank, and if jump knight to e6. Then the king has to go to c8. The knight covers these two squares, which means the king can't escape, which means that rook to d8 will be checkmate. So let's calculate this again, just to be sure. Knight takes e6 check, nothing can take the knight, so all good. King to c8, only move, since the rook is covering these squares. And after king to c8, we have rook d8. When our knight, which is now on e6, is supporting d8 and making it impossible for the black king to escape to c7. Right, I'm going to stop here. Otherwise I think the video will be too long, and I will make a video probably of the next 20 puzzles. Yeah, maybe in the next couple of days, if I find the time. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this one and it helped you with your puzzles, and it helped you improve your tactics a little bit more. Thank you, and I will see you maybe in one of the next videos.